And so brands are losing margin unnecessarily for non-contributing discounting. So what cashback does is it says to the shopper throughout the journey, you're eligible for a discount. And then post-purchase, you say to the shopper, okay, now you get to claim your discount. Would you like to claim it as cash? Would you like to claim it at a greater value as like credit? And if the shopper doesn't care to claim it, it means they're not motivated by price.
On today's episode of E-Commentary, we are delighted to be joined by Oren Charnoff, CEO of Fondue. Most recently, Fondue have raised $11 million, and it is their mission to put an end to the discount code. So if your brand has ever had a discount code pop up on Honey, Scently, or even Hot UK Deals, you definitely want to check out the product that's on offer with Fondue. Oren, thank you so much for coming on the show.
Super happy to be here. And Andy, you can introduce my company anytime. That was delicious. Thank you.
Just like Fondue, right?
Indeed. And it's so funny. Like if I say cheese or chocolate, which do you think of for fondue?
You see, I have a tough one with this one because my brother-in-law is Belgian and they are wild about fondue. So they would say cheese, but from when I was at university, we used to do fondue in the nightclubs and that was chocolate. So I got to go with cheese. Otherwise my brother-in-law is going to kill me. But I guess pass. Which one would you suggest?
You're a proper European. I ask this to everyone. Most Europeans will say cheese. It was actually started by the Swiss in a war. They had some old cheese and they had to make do with it. So they fondued it. And in America, everyone will say chocolate. So it makes sense that your college years, the party years, will mirror that of America. But you're true to your European self with a proper cheese fondue.
Yeah, it's huge over Christmas. In Belgium, it's like one of the big Christmas dishes. So I guess people have been eating a lot of it in Europe. And great name for a product because what you're doing is delicious.
Thank you. Again, you can sell my product any day. That is wonderful. You nailed it.
So let's get into it. Why do brands need to rethink the way that they're doing price promotions? And how does Fondue fill that gap?
So the e-commerce market has changed dramatically because the macro environment has changed. The period of growth at all costs is over. And brands grew addicted to discounting because discounts fundamentally work. Shoppers like the dopamine hit of deals. It can create a sense of urgency. It taps into the opportunistic soul of the human, and it drives engagement on impressions. It drives click-through rates. It drives conversions. Discounting is really effective. And so brands, while they were neglecting or just weren't optimizing for profit margins or even profitability at all, they grew quite used to discounting often because it works. The challenge is the way that discounting works is through coupon codes, which are fundamentally flawed for many reasons, which we can go into. But the reason why brands are intentional about revisiting, optimizing, or smoothing out the cost center of discounting is because profit margin matters now more than ever. Revenue-based financing is going down. Revenue-based venture capital rounds are less of a focus. Incremental profit is the name of the game. And the definition of a coupon code is technology to make less profit guaranteed. So we thought there's a call to the attention. Rather, brands are putting their attention on discounting now, I think, for the first time. So happy to speak about the problems with discounting and how we do it better. But I think this is why this is top of mind in the whole ecosystem.
And it's something that Ehrenberg Bass as an institute and Byron Sharp have really followed very extensively with research of the impact of price promotion on brands, that short term you see these huge sales lifts, but actually long term and the long term value of brands can be damaged by the associations with heavy discounts and heavy price reductions in that respect. So where does Fondue sit within this? How does it work?
Yeah. So the way that coupon codes work, it's that shoppers really have to do almost nothing and at times absolutely nothing in order to hurt the brand's profit margin. So say you see an advertisement online, doesn't matter where, if it's an ad influencer and an affiliate for glasses. You and I both seem to have a similar taste in glasses, right? And the glasses look like a pair that you would like to purchase. And it comes from an influencer that you respect. and there's a code for 10% off. You're not going to copy and paste that code because it requires an extremely low level of effort. And then you have the other extreme that you outlined of if you're at checkout and you just search, is there a coupon code out there? If there isn't a coupon code and it's the end of your journey and you're searching, you kind of don't care. Like, you might as well do it. And then you have the extreme case of coupon code injection. So the way that discounting works is shoppers don't have to do anything to eat into a brand's margin. And the whole concept of a discount is that you trade off profit for revenue, meaning you're willing to make less margin, but only if it actually gives you that revenue. If that revenue would exist without that coupon, you wouldn't want to do it. And the problem with coupon codes is they're designed in such a primitive way that they're extraordinarily accessible with the easy access of the internet. And so brands are losing margin unnecessarily for non-contributing discounting. So what cashback does is it says to the shopper throughout their journey, you're eligible for a discount. And then post-purchase, you say to the shopper, okay, now you get to claim your discount. Would you like to claim it as cash? Would you like to claim it at a greater value as site credit? And if the shopper doesn't care to claim it, it means they're not motivated by price. And the brand doesn't need to lose margin for no reason. So rather than giving a slight discount to everybody, not knowing who needs it and who does not, or trying to use AI to give a little bit to some and a lot to many, why don't you just give people the liberty to choose and have self-determination? For those shoppers who choose to redeem, wonderful. Give them the discount and give them more, because you don't need to give a little bit to the subsidized shoppers who didn't need to pay at a lower price. And you actually learn about what motivates your shopper, who's happy at a full price sale, who wants the discount, who's so loyal to the brand or so enamored with value that they'll take the site credit at a greater value. So you say to the shopper, you will get a discount. It's kind of like buy now, save more after. And then you get to go into that wonderful post-purchase experience to expand the journey by giving people money. People love that. And if they don't claim it, it means they just don't care. That's how cashback works. Instead of a pre-purchase incentive, the shoppers know about it throughout the journey and they get to claim it post-purchase. Pretty straightforward.
I was doing a little bit of research before the show, and I saw on Twitter that you are a little bit of a historian behind discount codes. What is the origin of the discount code? Where did it spring up from?
Yeah, so we're going to go before discount codes. We're going to go to couponing broadly, right? So there's a fellow named Asa Candler who, in the 1880s, purchased a small soda company at the time called Coca-Cola for $2,500. And he's considered the godfather, the godparent of couponing, because it's not clear whether or not he actually invented it, but he did the first national campaign where he put advertisements inside of newspapers and magazines where shoppers would have to cut out the coupon for a discounted Coca-Cola and bring it to a store. And there were certain rules around this coupon. You could not bring in the whole paper. You had to bring a cutout. So there was this idea of like self-selection, and the shopper had to see the advertisement, be motivated by the price, cut it out, put it in their pocket, go to a store, and remember to present it. And there was this whole element of behavioral economics of self-selection, which is for those who love the experience of winning, and in this case, it's winning on pricing, or for those who are price sensitive and with their elasticity on the price curve, this enables them to purchase, they would go ahead and then they would redeem this coupon. And then 5 years later, Coca-Cola was sold in almost every state, and 1 out of 10 Americans had enjoyed a Coca-Cola in the first 5 years of this person's ownership. And if you look at the way that coupons work, they haven't changed. Like, the only thing that's different is the internet. But because of the power of easy access and efficient distribution, there's no element of self-selection anymore. Everybody just has coupons automatically or semi-automatically or slightly manually applied. And the whole economic principle of efficiently allocating capital based off of, call it like slight friction or call it self-selection, no longer exists. And the promise of the trade-off of profit for revenue is broken online because coupons haven't changed from Asa Candler's days.
That's wild. Why do you think that brands almost feel obliged to offer these discount codes? Is it peer pressure? Is it just because when they look to the big brands, they see the big brands offering 10% as a welcome. So then it's almost like a given that they need to offer it. Why does that happen?
I think there's two reasons. The first is discounts work. Like, don't get me wrong. Discounts are an incredible technology and an incredible concept for engaging with shoppers and converting. All I'm saying is the status quo of coupon codes are fundamentally flawed. Firstly, brands discount because they're effective. If you had a pop-up on site on that welcome and you edit the image or the text or you do a spin the wheel, that has like marginal impact. But if you switch a discount value from 0 to 10 or from 10 to 20, that is way better than any font will ever perform. So firstly, discounts work. And secondly, brands look at it as a cost of doing business, right? They just say, we have to do it. And like, maybe you don't and maybe you do, but you certainly don't have to do it with coupon codes. So that's what we're going after. We're not anti-discount. We just think that coupon codes are technology from the 1880s that have never been revisited for digital native brands and digital native shoppers.
I'm going to say it. Society is getting lazier. So you see that people, if you put a slight barrier in the way, all of a sudden, I don't need that 20% when I have to work for it, or I don't need to really return that dress when I have to go to the printer and print off the return label. You see drastically, if you adapt your strategy, people slow down when there's friction because you're taking away the ease and making them work for it.
I love the analogy. It's friction. It's not designed to screw anyone over. It's designed to efficiently allocate capital. So how did returns used to work? We're inspired by Loop, Returnly, Narvar, Happy Returns, anyone in the return space. The status quo of returns was you would open a box when you purchase a product, and the first thing that you would see is a pre-printed label. You start your journey with the product stating, don't forget, you don't have to keep this, and we made it easy. And what's the innovation of all these returns tools? Which, by the way, are footers on the bottom of a website where you then have to go to your initial email to copy the order number, put it into a form, and then say, I don't want a different size, color, gift card. Then you have to print the label that they used to give you. Now, certainly shoppers can leverage this post-purchase engagement to get some value of an exchange of a gift card. However, it was designed so that brands will return less. It was designed to improve that cost center. And actually, if you look within Shopify, their definition between gross sales and net sales is minus refunds, i.e. returns, and minus discounts. So what Loop, Returnly, Narvar, and Happy have done by taking the no level of effort of returns and reducing that margin-eating center by turning it into a post-purchase engagement, so too are we doing that for discounts, the sister cost center to refunds in between gross and net sales, taking the little to no level of effort and turning it into an efficient and effective relationship post-purchase to learn more about your shopper. And for those who seek the discount, because you're no longer subsidizing the purchase who isn't price sensitive, you could simply offer better savings to those who redeem. Almost every brand that uses Fondue increases their discount value, which is super compelling because that will lead to a better welcome series, better list growth, better conversion rates. But because you're only allocating it to those who choose to redeem, and many who redeem take site credit, you're really meeting shoppers with where they are in the price curve, as opposed to unnecessarily subsidizing purchases to all. So yes, friction, post-purchase engagement is a wonderful economic agent for brands.
And within the tool, you mentioned something earlier that I was desperate to explore a little bit more. With Fondue, you offer two options in terms of the cashback. So there's straight up cashback, and then you also mentioned that there can be store credit. Like, what's the use case of that? How are brands using it? And what's the split?
Totally. So when shoppers are eligible for cashback, they have three choices: not to claim, claim as cash, or claim as site credit. So firstly, if the shoppers don't claim, that's pure margin back to the brand. Then if they redeem, they may either redeem it as cash or as site credit. And what we suggest, and all brands do, is they make the site credit more valuable than the cash redemption choice. That may be slightly more or aggressively more. It's up to the brand's margins and business model. And we see shoppers choosing the site credit for two reasons. One, because they love the winning in discounting and they just go to the biggest price. And that's great. We've created a tremendous amount of value. And two, they just love the brand and they want some more. So what we tend to see about half of shoppers just simply don't claim their cash back. And what we see is about 20%, slightly more, will redeem as site credit. And about 30% of shoppers claim as cash. I have a screenshot of an actual brand of ours that can really show this. If you want, I can go ahead and just show what a screenshot would look like so we could see the distribution on a statistically significant number of shops. Okay, so here it is. Okay, so this is an example of a snapshot from one of our brands. And you can see here that you can see the total number of purchases that were eligible for cashback. You can see that there was $72,000 worth of eligible cashback. And then you see here what's called a deflection rate, which is how many shoppers simply claim nothing and how many shoppers took a site credit as opposed to cash. So on $72,000 of what would be paid out as a discount, the brands only had 23%, meaning $16,000 worth of redemptions. And what you see here is 20% of shoppers redeemed as site credit. And you can see here that 57% of shoppers just simply didn't care at all. They didn't care to redeem despite getting push notifications. You're eligible for a discount. Now, for this particular brand, I believe their AOV is around $50 of a decor for the home. So a 10% or 20% discount is actually fairly marginal. This is actually saying that those shoppers are kind of just opportunistic and it didn't move the needle on the demand curve. But still, if you give shoppers the choice, 1 out of 5 are saying, I want more from this brand, or I love the value of the juiced up site credit. And about 1 out of 2 shoppers say, I actually wasn't motivated by price. I just really like what you're selling. And the brand gets to recover, in this case, tens of thousands of dollars. The total number here was $54K, $55K. That goes straight to the bottom line for them. And this is on the Welcome Series only. This is just the Welcome Series.
Putting on my performance marketer hat, that is such a significant amount in the current landscape, because that's the difference with your CAC. That's giving you so much more leeway with your CAC, with your performance marketing. So that's the difference between turning Google ads or Facebook ads or TikTok off versus letting it run and scaling. That's an enormous amount. But how are you seeing marketers work with Fondue? Because the calculation has an element of unknown about it. How are you seeing the performance marketers working with those calculations?
So firstly, we have a generally strong understanding of what the redemption rates will be. And they're actually fairly homogeneous across different business models, different brands and price points. So it's not nearly as widespread as one would think. And then secondly, look, we have the ambitions to replace every coupon code online and also eventually in retail too. But we're starting with the wonderful internet. And if I approached a brand and I said, let's do an A/B test with ads, influencers, and affiliates, they have to put performance marketing dollars behind it. So there's actually they're nervous to conduct the test. And we definitely have brands who start off there and bring it on. Nearly every brand, and we work with hundreds, nearly every brand that we work with starts off with the Welcome Series. Because doing A/B tests through Klaviyo and Attentive simply doesn't cost money. And additionally, the A/B tests on Facebook and ads and influencers, it's much more art than science. But Klaviyo and Attentive have wonderful A/B testing capabilities. Look, I'm a founder. I'm enthusiastic. I'll try and find a way to make it work for everyone. But to have a third-party tool like Klaviyo and Attentive just simply split the traffic of the pop-up and then the email and SMS sequence for those shoppers who opt in for that Welcome Series. You can measure list growth, revenue growth, AOV, purchases, LTV, and profit. I could actually show you an example of that very same brand. It's a tens of millions of dollar bootstrap profitable home decor brand. And I can show you how they evaluated the product on an A/B test on the Welcome Series. And then they graduated from there to ads, influencers, affiliates, and used it for Black Friday, Cyber Monday. So I'm happy to show you their screenshot, their data of how they evaluated us on an A/B test.
I'd love to see it.
Okay, so here it is. So I'm zooming in, and you can see that over a period of a month, their control of their welcome series was 10% off on that pop-up. And then the test was 20% back. And you can see across, a reasonably statistically significant number of impressions that we doubled the subscribers from offering 20% back versus 10% off. We 4x'd purchases and revenue. And then if you look through during that same month, the click-through rate, the subscription rate, and the AOV, it led to a more frequent and more profitable first purchase. Now, if you recall from the previous screenshot that I showed you, there was a 23% redemption rate, and it is a 20% cashback discount as opposed to 10%. And so if we simply take these two, we can look at the average discount per conversion, and it was 4.6%. And you can compare that to the 10% off that they were giving everybody. So what we actually added is 5% margin, more than 5% margin per purchase. So a more profitable purchase, a higher AOV purchase, and a more frequent first purchase as well. So you can measure it from list growth, revenue growth, AOV, to profitability informing LTV. And also you have all those site credit holders that you could simply retarget as well.
That's super smart. I think it's also super timely because we know what's happening in the world over the last 6 months. We've seen freight prices skyrocket. We've seen manufacturing costs increase. And for manufacturers or for brands that are looking to recoup a little bit of margin, this is almost a chance to do that because suppliers haven't got enough wiggle room to go down in price unless you vastly increase your minimum order quantities. So this could be fitting for the smaller e-commerce stores all the way through to the enormous ones. It's like you said, it's just recouping a piece of the cake.
Yeah, I just wanted to build on that. It's not just about the incremental profit. It's also about growth, right? You can discount more aggressively and it's no longer a negotiation between the marketer and finance. What discount can we afford? We want to get to a world where you can't afford to not discount with Fondue's cashback.
Have you seen sweet spots in terms of the cashback? I presume that there's a continuum where if you go too high with your cashback offer, it's like that carrot. If the carrot is extra delicious, then people are going to take a bite. But if it's something that's significant but not overly significant, then it becomes an effort or a labor to redeem. Where does that sit from your experience?
So firstly, this is what we do for a living. So we absolutely measure this across all of our brands. And there is a point where the cashback offer has diminishing marginal returns, right? What we generally see is if you were offering 10% off, you just put it to 20% back. If you were at 15% off, you don't need to double it to 30, although certainly that would be great. But let's just start off doing it at 20% back. What we found is switching the first number, so if it was 10 or 15 to 20, is usually good enough, where you can both enjoy the profit of the reconversion and the unredeemed of cashback, but also the growth of offering a better deal. Because as we all know, from Black Friday, Cyber Monday, Father's Day, Mother's Day, and any excuse to discount, that it really works. So the sweet spot that we found are anyone who has a discount anywhere, but specifically the Welcome Series. This is just a really no-cost A/B test. And then we'll graduate and aggressively take all your coupon codes. But we're really happy to start off in the Welcome Series to build some trust with some great third-party testing through Klaviyo and Attentive. Or other tools.
We have a couple of brands that are omni-channel, so they're in retail and they're direct to consumer and they have additional suppliers. And one of the challenges that they face is that they're restricted in terms of what they can do with pricing due to MAP agreements with suppliers, so that if they overly discount their products, they end up annoying one of the big B2B buyers. How does Fondue help a brand like that? Is it in contravention of a MAP agreement? How does it work in terms of those?
It's a pretty easy answer, no, because these are full price sales. So thus far, it is MAP compliant friendly. This is not a strike through price. right? This is a full price purchase that is friendly with MAP compliance.
We had a guest on the show on, I think it was episode 17, who had an app that was called Chommy. And Jesper's app, Chommy, was set up for the consumer. So if a brand makes a price reduction of their product, Chommy tracks pricing and it automates asking for a refund if their brands discount the goods within 7 to 14 days. And there's been actually quite a lot of coverage on Chommy as an app that it's over leveraging brands and it's pushing them into a corner where they can't say no to refunds. I'm guessing Fondue is almost like the kryptonite to an app like Chommy because the discount price isn't applied. It's a cashback. It's not, like you said, a strike through. So you're almost a kryptonite. If people have listened to episode 17 and they're looking at ways to combat an app like Chommy, I guess Fondue's a really good starting point.
Yeah, but I also want to be super clear. Fondue is also great for shoppers because we increase discount values. What was a 10% discount is now a 20% discount. So on the one hand, yes, it removes the efficiency of the internet is both difficult is challenging both for coupon codes as well as for price reductions. And so this can combat some of the downside of e-commerce for the margin of brands. But certainly for shoppers, every brand that we work with increases their discount because they're doing it more profitably with cashback. And that's great for shoppers. It's just a better deal, period.
And what have the objections to the product been? So I know from what you've said today, it sounds incredible for brands. It sounds like there's only an upside. If someone doesn't redeem, you win. If someone redeems store credit, you build LTV, you win. And if someone claims 10% cashback and your welcome discount would have been 10%, you'll break even. What have some of the objections been that you've been seeing from the industry? How have people been responding?
So I'd say there's two that come to mind. The first is we've spoken to some brands who don't discount. And while certainly some of them now do because of Fondue, there are some people who are philosophically against discounting. And that's totally fine. People can run their business however they want. So with some marketers, be it outhouse experts like yourself, like agencies, they'll actually take this and use it in order to encourage their brands to finally discount. What I would say is that doesn't always work. It certainly does at times. So an objective is still, let's call it brandiness. It's totally their prerogative. I actually imagine many more brands are going to be discounting. I think to be so principled is a luxury of a flourishing economy. And as the markets are constricting, I think those principles will be bent. So that's number one. And then the second thing is some people don't like the word cashback for what they present to the shopper as a discount type. And that's fine. You can just call it get 20% back, get 20% in cash or credit. That's actually the best performing language are those two. So sometimes people are a little brand sensitive to the term cashback. They feel like that's something that you would receive from a credit card provider, from a supermarket. And that's okay. You can take the noun and call it discount type, whatever you prefer. We actually think it's best to say get 20% back or get 20% in cash or credit performs better anyways. So I'd say the brandiness can come into play. Or the map question is a classic, but that is fine for object handling because it is map compliant.
So 2 questions that I had off that. I'm really fascinated. Do brands have the option to only offer, say, a store credit instead of a payment back to the bank account?
So it's a great question. Can we limit cashback to only be redeemed as credit? And the answer is that's called loyalty and rewards. And that's a solved problem. If you remove the cash redemption element, you are going to demolish conversion rates. Shoppers are looking to be transactional on the way in. And if it's a Welcome Series first-time purchase, if I don't know the brand, I don't care for points to a business I don't have an affiliation with yet. So it's a very intuitive place that people ask us often, but we've tested this, and it demolishes conversion rates because it is not a discount alternative. It's just saying, can I do loyalty and rewards as an incentive as a first-time purchase? And the answer is, it doesn't make a big impact. It hurts compared to a discount. We're a coupon code alternative, not a rewards program. The site credit for us is a feature amongst many others, but it is not necessarily the essence. But it's a wonderful feature.
I think it's about that creation of the offer, right? That you can either have money paid back into your account, or you can have this, which is twice as good, twice as nice. And we hope you take that one, but otherwise we're happy with the other. And how does the app integrate with Shopify Analytics? So with traditional coupon code, if you redeem the coupon code, it's in Shopify Analytics as a discount. How does Fondue work, and how does the timing of the cashback offer occur?
Sure. So shoppers are eligible to claim their cashback for a period after the purchase is done. In the United States, for example, shoppers legally have 6 months. However, 94% of shoppers will claim in the first 48 hours. So it's not really going to be outstanding for that long. That's number one. Number two, we've got our own analytics where we can take all of your orders and also overlay them with the cashback redemption data, but also on the orders itself and the tags and notes. So we can make it known there.
So you start to analyze the sales performance through your analytics, looking at the data there for a more accurate picture. And I was browsing the case studies on Fondue. You guys are quite open with case studies.
There will be more. We just released another one, or releasing another one today.
Like, the stats are pretty incredible. And I know that in the beginning of the show, I introduced you as a business that's raised significant funds. But I think it'd be so cool over time to actually see how much money you've saved brands and retailers. Is that going to be something you'll ever make available?
If I look at the marketing initiatives, I don't believe that that's a task. And I'm going to walk away from here and then put it somewhere as a prioritization. But that would be a lot of fun. We're going to be releasing soon, the cashback calculator ROI, the shtick that a lot of people do. But having a firm, concrete number is great. But again, there's two sides to the coin here. It's the margin recovered, but it's also the growth, right? Remember that example of the brand that I showed you? The redemption statistics are super compelling, but we 2x subscription rate, we 4x'd purchase count, we 4x'd revenue. This is a growth tool. This isn't just like an incremental profit, discovery platform. This is a growth tool. Whether you're at an agency or you're at a brand, and let's stay in the email and SMS lane, your KPIs are list growth, revenue growth, and LTV. Now to be able to speak to the CEO or to your client and speak about profit overlaid on top of that is the sexiest thing you could say to a brand right now. So profit's there, but so's the growth. This is a growth tool.
In terms of the availability of the product, we know we've talked quite a lot about Shopify integration. Does it integrate with other e-commerce management systems? Is that on the roadmap? Is that something that's available?
Yeah, I can say it here as a friend. As a founder, you have to focus, and it's really hard to choose where you want to win because opportunities will always come up. And as we're not public about a lot about our business, more opportunities come in different directions. Not all of them are good opportunities. I had a phone call yesterday from someone who runs discounting for Norwegian health clinics. He said, I'd love to use cashback. And I said, we'll get into Norway, healthcare retail in 2035. We are going to remain focused exclusively on Shopify for the next 12 months because it's a large ecosystem, a vibrant ecosystem, a social ecosystem. Generally serves as a trendsetter for the rest, and we can make the experience even better for brands and shoppers in Shopify, and then we'll graduate to other platforms in 24. But no, we're not going to be supporting other platforms in the next 12 months at least.
There's enough market on Shopify, right? And Oren, you're incredibly knowledgeable with what you're doing with Fondue, but also on social media platforms like Twitter and Fondue on LinkedIn. You're sharing a lot of incredible industry research and statistics. If people want to follow along and learn more, where can they find you?
Yeah, thanks so much. So firstly, maybe they'll find you retweeting my stuff every now and then, so give Andy some love. But if you want to hear it straight from the horse's mouth, you can find me on Twitter at @ocharnoff. I'm on LinkedIn, Oren at getfondue.com. Check out the website. You can't find us like the founding father of discounting in newspaper advertisements just yet, but maybe one day we'll get to that level.
And Oren, thank you so much for your time. Thank you so much for your wisdom. And I'm sure there's going to be people who've listened today that are going to want to say thank you for the product. So on behalf of them, it's been such a pleasure having you on. Thank you.
Totally. And for those interested, they could reach out to me directly, or working with great agencies like yours, Andy, they can come to you also to help them with the tool as well.